Okay, thank you so much, Simon, for really, really doing this with us.
Sorry.
And I just want to, send out love to everyone all over the world. And I just also want to send out love to people that have posted, messages on our YouTube. Some people have posted some really, really nasty messages on our YouTube. And I've always taken the view that I'm not going to edit them, we're not going to delete them, because, again, we want to continue to extend love. Love is love, and I think that's what's the important thing. And, of course, it's Easter. And I just want to remind people, especially Christians, and that Jesus is the reason for the season. So we are celebrating something that's very huge in the Christian calendar. And we've been talking about what you've been doing. You said you're resting and things like that. Okay. And also, it's also a time that we want to take, reflection and remember Carl Joseph Walker Hoover, who committed suicide quite suddenly in the US quite recently, and we want to send condolence again to all his friends, his families, his schoolmates, and so on and so forth. Simon, with religious homophobia, which is obviously the angle in which religious communities themselves create a vacuum of homophobia, hatred. There's a way in which the campaign against same-gender loving people go on. What are your views about the dangers of religious homophobia?
I think some of our gay clergy, for instance, could do a lot more.
Okay.
In my experience, I am aware of 3 gay clergy, yourself being one.
Oh, thank you.
And there are 2 other friends of mine who are both gay clergy. However, they are not openly gay within the rest of their clergy colleagues. And indeed, where they minister, it's not widely known that they are gay. However, my take is that there are a number of our clergy ministers from all different types of religious groups who practice homosexuality or are pro homosexuals in our community, but I think because of the strong issues with homosexuality and religion, that they are often being very suppressed in being able to be open about their beliefs and being able to share their experiences that they've had in their lives with the rest of their congregations or their colleagues. But I think politics and religion and lots of things that go on in the world often get sort of mixed up and used against each other in lots of different everyday lives, and homosexuality is just one of those many issues that religion gets in the way of, as well as politics do, and so forth.
I mean, there was a short musical called Musical Proposition 8, where when Jesus came into the onto stage, there was a group that was saying that homosexuality is an abomination, and there was another group that was saying no, it's not an abomination. And of course, the key message in that point was that the religious communities pick and choose. Do you think that they pick and choose? Because again, it is the same accusation, to people like myself, that we pick and choose, scriptures to support, what is called our own perversion of our sexuality. What do you think?
I think a lot of people would take that view of, it's all well and good, but I'm gonna, believe in these particular parts of the Bible, and this group are gonna more pick on these particular. And again, it's about people picking things to suit them at the time. They're trying to get this particular point across, so therefore they're going quote chapter and verse on in this particular point. I think it's all too easy to say whether it's a good or a bad thing that people do that. At the end of the day, the Bible is there. There are many, many words written in the Bible by lots of different people. So it's going to be right, I guess, that people do have to quote different scriptures and verses. However, I'm sure not that I'm an expert in this, but there is contradiction in the Bible too. So in one element they talk about one thing which is a negative, but in another there's contradiction in whether that's actually right. So,
well, I mean, some of the messages that we get out to people out there, from a liberal interpretation of scriptures, is that the Bible never, I mean, you can hear me on this one and quote me, the Bible never condemned homosexuality. And people are going to say I'm crazy, but I'm actually not. The important thing here is that, the Bible spoke about homosexuality, but in the context in which homosexuality was spoken about was actually the negative or the abusive homosexual relationships. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you look at it this way, same gender loving relationship, cannot really be a problem.
Yeah.
But any relationship, whether it's same gender or opposite gender, that is not loving, is an abuse. And so I'm going to interrupt you for a little while. I'm going to bring you back in. Now, there is a part of this discussion where people often think that homosexuality is wrong because it doesn't produce children, it doesn't produce anything. But I think that the idea is that when two people come together and they love each other and we're still in the minority, it's in itself producing love instead of hate. And this is the angle in which we are coming in. And that's why this poster behind us is very, very important. Yeah. We live in the 21st century, and not the 15th century. So there's a lot of difference there.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to move on slightly. There was an issue recently in Uganda where an organization in America called Exodus obviously did a conference. And the idea of the conference was to cure, the homosexuals in Uganda. And of course, Exodus have done so much work and, in fact, damage in the US for decades. So how do you think that, their work in Africa is going to change anything if they have actually not succeeded in the US?
Again, I think, having seen other programs on different types of situations in Africa, I think they are most probably using the sort of African naivety to their advantage. I've seen it being done in this type of environment with homosexuality, and even in Nigeria we've seen it with those areas of religion that believe in witches and their work in trying to cure children of being witches and wizards. But I think it's where they're drawing on the sort of the African where they haven't really had that exposure to the sort of Western life, if you like.
Yeah.
And that is a shame.
You just said something that's very key, Western life. So that's an ideology that Western life in Africa is really the foreign import, isn't it? And not necessarily our sexual orientation.
Correct.
Okay, basically there's always this idea, we touched on it earlier on, that homosexuality is a Western import. And some of the things, I go down the line to say to people in Africa that if you have a mobile phone and they have a television, they have a computer, that's a foreign import. If you're driving a car and you fly in an aeroplane, across the Atlantic or even across Africa, it's a foreign import. So we need to think carefully what we say about foreign import. Okay, so what, in addition to that, will you say could be foreign imports, to Africa?
All sorts of things could be foreign imports. It's just our schooling, even the simplest things from schooling, from our computers, our technology, and even the way that we even, pray to God these days.
Okay, we're going to take a break there. Thank you very much.